So the new animated movie Wendell and Wild, which released on Netflix, which actually had Jordan Peele as the producer and Henry Slick as the director, can make an amazing movie. Which this is the first movie that I saw because how Jordan Peele created all types of horror movies, such as Get Out, Us, and the new one released this year, Nope, which we see how these two creative directors have made an amazing animated movie, which we actually had the legendary actors who will be the voice of the new movie, which is actually about two demon brothers who actually enlisted the help of a young girl who is stricken with grief. So here is the review of the new Wendell and Wild movie. So the movie begins with a city called Rustbank, where the couple, Desroy and Wilma, who actually the voice of Gary Gatewood and Jezebel Dennis, which they actually have a root beer factory, but they will not sell. So that actually means that no one else who actually can buy it from them until their daughter Kat, who actually take a bite of a candy apple until she was frightened by two-headed worm. But knowing how they drove off the bridge and into the water, where her father was knocked out, in which she is the only one left, knowing how she saw her parents drowned. Now stricken with grief, she became a rebel who's actually been into juvenile hall most of her life until we see how the story actually saw in the underworld where the demon Buffalo Belzer, who was actually voiced by Vin Fram, Fram, sorry, him, who was in the People Under the Stairs horror movie, which he using his stomach to create a amusement park where his sons, Wendell and Wild, who was the voice of Keegan Michael and Jordan Peele, the producer of the movie, spend their time spreading hair cream on their father's head, in which they actually have a vision of their own amusement park and saw a cat who actually have a vision of her, but they realize that their father will not allow them to have their own amusement park, that in which they were also being punished as well. Meanwhile, we see Kat grow up to be a teenage rebel again, who was forced to head back to her hometown, Rustbank, and of course saw the factory was burned to the ground. Knowing of the fact that she was forced to join an all-girls school where she was greeted by a Peppy's school girls group led by Sahad Clara, who parents are the company called Cloud Corp, who bought everything in the city, including the fact that they have owned the burned down root beer factory, which we knew how we see Raul, another boy who was actually in the group but was rejected, knowing that the fact that he caused the brick to fall, which cats have a vision, knowing how she saved her life. in which she was saved by the vision, in which she was introduced by Father Best, who was voiced by James Hong, knowing how he saw how the school accepted her, so they can actually have the school paid for everything. In which she dressed up, but in a goth fashion, knowing how she became a rebel, knowing how they were actually been taught class by Sister Helen, who was voiced by Angela Bassett, who was Ramonda on the Black Panther movie back in 2018 and will return in the upcoming movie Black Panther Wakanda Forever in this year, which she taught a class about the mimic octopus. But when Cat's turn, the creature have actually transformed into a demonic demon, knowing how she was sent, knowing how there's a marking on her left hand with symbols teeth and nostrils, knowing how she saw how she really is, in which Wendell and Wild know that she is a Hell Maiden in her dreams. So they actually introduce themselves to her so they can actually summon. And if they can actually help her bring her parents back to life. The problem is that they cannot do that, but they can actually lie that they can bring her parents back to life, which they needed her to steal a Beelzebub, which is a demonic stuffed bear from Sister Helen. But knowing that the fact that she knew how she works with the janitor, Menberg, who was posed as a janitor, but he really is a demon hunter, keeping demons in a jar. But knowing how she captured Beelzebub, which we see how the Clarings have killed Father Bess, knowing how they saw he is the only witness to them burning down the factory, which they kill him to make it look like a accident. Which at the funeral we knew that Kat needed or Ramon, whose mother is a council member, saying that they actually needed to summon the brothers, which they realized that the hair cream on Basil's hair can bring people back to life. But they headed to the wrong side of the cemetery, in which Kat was tricked. So they used the cream to bring Father Bess to life, in which we knew how they can actually help each other, so the Clarings can actually have their plans approved. If the original members of the council were alive, which he revealed that they are actually can do that when he proves to be alive, knowing how they can receive of their master plan, knowing that they will agree to pay for the school and the brothers' amusement parks. The problem is that if they advise someone else other than the original council members, the deal is off. So they actually do just that, which Kat learns that Beth's revival and confronting the brothers of her upset, which she promised to vow to serve them, which he said, and I quote, with her hand, I swear it, which we knew how they under her control, and which Basil, who heard the story ahead, knowing the fact that Helen saw what's happened, and she knew exactly what she felt through, in which they've dug the original members up and bring them back to life. But Ramon was forced to do so, but decided to take the cream and bring Kat's parents back to life, knowing the fact that they actually headed back to their home after some food, which Wendell and Wild found out and trapped them in the sewer, in which Kat have saw her parents are back to normal and actually knew how they are actually have a reunion. But she needs to help Ramon because friends always stick together, in which we knew how they are going to have to fight each other. I mean, fight the zombies when they actually came for the council meeting. They actually say they need to have living council members for vote. So one of them actually found a loophole of the rules. So they approve of the demolition, knowing of the fact that Sahad have knew of her parents' misdeeds, in which they pay Father Best the money. But knowing how Sister Helling told Kat that she's also a Hell Maiden, which she has the same marking of the teeth on her hand, in which her fever have gotten worse. So Menberg helping them with Kat and her spiritual bond sever the tie between her and Wendell and Wild by going through a a redemption chamber, causing the pain and suffering of her past, knowing how they are also realize that the cemetery, which Shahad have actually knew that they've been lied to, by which we see how the money they use for them are currencies of their own design, which is counterfeiting and is useless to them. Knowing how Buffalo Belzer knew of the brothers' lies, he decided to head back up to the surface to find the brothers, in which they knew that he saw the mural painted by Ramon of the rooftops, in which he'd been terrible of their sons ever since his own siblings have gone, until he apologizes to them and approve of them actually of their amusement park. But Father Best died and realized by Belzer that the hair cream only works temporarily to bring them back to life. That means Kat's parents will die as well. However, she has a vision of the demolition that actually happened, but they decide to work together to stop the bulldozers, which Raul have another plan, which we see how they stop the bulldozers of tearing down the city, in which the Clarons have been arrested of their crimes with the help of the three last dead factory workers who provide witnesses, in which Raul's mom is proud of her son of doing so, in which we see how cats have one last moment of her parents, knowing that the fact that she actually have a vision of what Rust Bank will look like in the future before they pass away peacefully, in which Wendell and Wild have come up with their ideas of what their dream fair will look like, and they were going to give Leroy and Wilma VIP passes for all of their lives, in which we see how the animator worked in the middle of the night filming on the camera on the post-credit scene of bringing Cat to life, in which is amazed by their work. Now, I really love this movie, which is amazing to have all the actors lending their voices for the movie. Plus, we see the comedy duo of Key and Pill, who actually voiced the characters of the title of the movie, which Pale is the producer of the movie, and Henry Slick is actually director. Not to mention, he also directing them actually wrote the movie when he actually developed it as a stop motion animation, in which we see how he along with Peel actually worked together in creating this amazing movie, in which is actually incredible as well. So I cannot wait to see what else coming out in the movies, either in theaters or in streaming services. So anyway, like this video, subscribe for more, and comment what you think about the movie review. You guys can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and my Facebook page and Twitch. Until then, this is Anime Guys right here saying sign out. Laters and be safe in Halloween.